Or Weiler. Are we on? Is this live?
Oh my god, are we on Facebook
So
Live?
weird.
This is my first
So
Facebook
weird.
Live.
Maybe this light is a little too
Let me
bright.
see.
Yeah,
Oh wait, we're on and we're in the right format. This is amazing.
Let me turn down the light for you guys. So here we go. Nice. We have a ring light and everything. It's so professional. Hey guys. Welcome to our Facebook Live.
Hey.
Julie Crabchick just joined. I'm glad someone's watching this.
It's okay. People will catch it later.
People do
Holiday
catch it later.
break.
You know what? I'm just going to log in from mine too because, you know.
Two listeners.
We got 2 listeners now.
UA and Julie. That's sad.
It's not sad. It's really great. Where is it?
Okay.
Where is it? How do you watch it? Oh, there we are. Okay, now we have 2. And 3.
Yay.
It doesn't matter because
It's okay.
we wanted to do this anyway. We've been wanting to do more live content, and this was a great way to just test things out. This is Julie's first Facebook Live.
It is. I feel like such a Facebook Live virgin.
You're such a virgin. Let's pop that cherry. Let's pop it. So it's 6 o'clock. It's actually 6:03. We're a little bit late. Happy hour. Cheers. By the way, it just occurred to me that this is weird for some of you guys because you've only heard our voices, but you haven't seen our faces. You're like,
unless you've stalked us
whoa.
on the website. But yeah, no. This
Yeah.
might be the first time.
This is
Maybe you
little
and
different.
a few, but yeah.
Julie, I feel like you're overexposed. Let me turn this off. Sorry, we're experimenting with a lot of lighting here. Is that
Yeah,
better?
I think that is better.
Okay, well, I guess we didn't need the ring light. I thought we were just being fancy there. Okay, so there are a couple things we want to talk about. One is thank you guys so much for supporting our podcast. When we started this thing 5 seasons ago, we really didn't know where it would go. It was like, podcasting, what is that? How do we get started? Who's going to be on our show? I think that was like our number one concern. And if you look back to season 1, most of those guests we had known in some capacity.
Yeah, they were pretty much our friends and
Pretty
us
much
just
our
like
friends.
fucking around and seeing if this is something that it was literally just us and our friends listening to.
Yeah.
Or if people actually listened. So thank you for listening. So it's not just our friends anymore.
But the good thing is we have a lot of friends who are willing to be on the show because everyone seems to be, on this dating journey and they have so many dating stories and questions that they want to discuss. So it kind of spread like wildfire because one person would start telling a story and that would inspire other people to tell their story. And it's also become sort of like a therapy group for some of us. A lot of people who've been guests on our show have become our personal close friends, and we hang out with them, we see them on a regular basis, and we talk about these issues over and over again.
And that's been amazing. Obviously anyone in SF knows that the city is 1 degree of separation, so that was always great. But then even recently we've had a few remote guests from New York, LA, so that's been awesome to keep that going. And we've somehow found connections with some of them that don't even physically live here. So
yeah, and I don't want to give too much away, but in 2018, expect more remote guests because we're just gonna take over the world. So I want to give some stats about where we are with the podcast. We're in our 5th season. And we've had over 600,000 listens so far, and that's fantastic. Thank you to you guys, and it's all been word of mouth. One person listens to it and wants their coworkers to listen to it and want their friends to listen to it. So thank you for supporting us. We've been featured in publications like Huffington Post, Thought Catalog, and what are some of the other ones? Up Out. I'm sorry, I'm losing track. SF Gate are some of the other ones. AskMen.com, Brides Magazine. It's so strange, but BET. I still can't get over it. BET featured us as one of the top dating podcasts to listen to. Thank you guys, BET. That was a huge honor for both of us, and we did not expect that at all.
So our special guest is here early.
Oh, he is?
Yes.
Okay.
Our guest is not flaking on us. Yay.
So I guess we'll just move our special guest early. I mean, that's the thing with a live show. You never know what's going to happen.
Or we'll just make him hang for a few, and then we can send him in.
I don't think he can.
Okay. He can't contain himself.
He can't contain himself.
That's true. That's true.
I hear him now. He's extremely loud.
Our guest is here. Let's send him in.
Yeah, okay. I won't tell you who it is because you'll probably guess who it is. Hello.
Happy Hanukkah. Wait, what?
Hello. We're on right now.
I brought one of my diggers. So just
one of your diggers?
She smoked a bunch of weed so she can listen to me rant.
Exactly. Amazing.
Oh my God.
She's also a bottle digger.
Amazing.
If that doesn't give it away, there's a clue right now. Bottle digger? Bottle? Does anybody make that connection? Come sit down. This is BottleNed, everyone.
Oh no, it's like a video thing?
It's Facebook
Damn it.
Live.
Why do you have to do this right in winter when my skin's all messed up and I got these stupid glasses on?
Did Julie not tell you we're doing video?
I said Facebook
Yeah,
Live.
Facebook Live. What did you think it was?
I don't listen very well. That's the problem.
Oh, that's true.
Facebook Messenger.
Oh, shit.
Well, this is BottleNed. If you didn't listen to us...
Not BottleNed.
Well, that's what you call yourself. Julie, you want to get in here? I can't
I'm not really good at this.
Okay. Yeah, so let's all squeeze in here.
Should I sit on this big bench or should I sit on the small bench behind?
Just be
here. If you want, you sit here. I'll switch. I'll switch. You sit there.
No, I think it's fine. He's like our kid. Like if we were
We're
driving right now, this is like
sign of condescension for you. Here you go. Serve it right up, why don't you?
You have your seatbelt on, honey. This is amazing. And your friend is about to smoke up right now. This is like this may be the best Facebook Live ever.
This doesn't happen that often on Facebook
People
Live.
on drugs?
We gotta keep it.
I
feel like Facebook Live is just coming into its
I don't even know what it is.
You're just on video. Basically.
That's you. You're broadcasting to 3 people right now. Yes. Hey guys, okay, so let's...
The Legion of Fans that I was told about.
The Legion
They'll
of
catch
Fans.
up later. But
I was bragging about my Legion of Fans.
We did have a lot
of...
Well, one of the reasons we asked BottleNed back is because a lot of people reached out about your episode. Like, a lot of guys, it really resonated. Let's give a quick summary of it before we go into too much.
Well, BottleNed's episode was our season opener for season 5. So we felt like it was so impactful that we put it as our season premiere. And in the episode, Ned basically talks about how it's so hard to date in San Francisco, and he thinks the answer to dating in San Francisco is to not date in San Francisco and to go outside of it because to go outside the city. But if you stopped listening there, because we know a lot of people who were initially a little taken aback by the beginning of the opening of the episode, if you stopped listening
Hopefully insulted.
They were definitely
there
insulted.
were a few insulted
There were
people,
still
yes.
people offended, insulted. But the reason why in the beginning of the episode I specifically say, you guys, you got to listen to the end of this episode because there are a lot of great takeaways. Because what we eventually got to was Ned wasn't saying, get out of San Francisco, everybody here sucks. He's saying, when you date outside of, when you go to a smaller town to date, you have that actual like date feeling again, you know, like going out on an actual date, no phones at dinner, no like this scheduling I can fit you in between 5 and 5:30. None of that like the everyday like bullshit that we have to deal with, because when you go to a smaller town, everyone's there, they want to meet you, they're excited to meet you. And I think the whole takeaway of that episode is let's bring back that like old school dating feeling again, right. You know, of that like butterflies and rainbows and you know that like warm and fuzzy.
It's stop being, I think like stop being glued to our phones all the time. And I think it's SF obviously, but it's probably every urban.
Well,
like,
the infection is
city.
spreading. Totally. Is
what
I'm noticing.
Sure. Oh yeah, I was in New York and everyone's
no, don't just. I'm saying it's been in big cities for a couple years now, but like. You know, it's actually going to small towns now. Like the Tinder machine is not what it once was in small towns. It's actually moving northward and it's moving into the inland areas. It's really fucking up everything.
You know,
but you have to be aware that that you only have a certain the time restriction before the future takes over. Even
so that's a good segue because when we talked, when was it? Like probably like 4 or 5 months ago.
Yes.
So has anything changed since then?
Ooh.
Well, I've been maxi cockblocked by a physical issue that I've been having. Basically, the issue is
I developed English? I don't know why. What just happened?
Maxi cockblocked by a physical issue.
By a physical issue. Okay.
So basically, what happened was I developed this allergy to my contact lenses, and so these bumps are starting to form underneath my eyelids. And this happens. It's actually a common thing. And so I go to the eye doctor. I'm like, what the fuck, man? And then they're like, oh yeah, it happens to everybody. I'm like, well, what can I do about it? They're like, well, just don't wear your contacts as much. I'm like, oh, great. Because it's like, I kind of look like shit with glasses because hipsters would look cool with glasses because they have cool clothes. But since I wear bummy homeless people clothes, I look like a pedophile.
Well, maybe it's time to become a hipster.
Yeah.
What? Change my identity? That would disappoint all my fans.
I don't mind you with glasses. That doesn't look...
Really?
Yeah. You look scholarly.
That's true.
Everyone says I look like some kind of creep, especially since I wear shitty rags all the time. This is one of my better shirts, actually. This is my dad's shirt.
Hi, Ching. This is a pretty hilarious Facebook Live. You need to listen to his episode if you haven't yet. So, for anybody joining this is BottleNed. He's from season premiere of season 5, where he talks about dating out of San Francisco, outside of San Francisco, as a what would you call it? As a way to make dating better. Not an alternative. You specifically date outside of San Francisco.
Yes. Yeah. So, should I recap this?
Let's not recap it because I think people know when we talked about it. But this is kind of, so I just came back from Cuba last week. And in Cuba, they don't have internet. Internet's not prevalent.
That sounds like a good place.
But they have 80 hotspots in all of Cuba. And so people take their phones to these hotspots and they sit on their phone and they scroll. And I asked one of the girls, I was like, do you guys use Tinder here? And she's like, I would never leave my house to go to a hotspot just to Tinder. That's not something I would do. So she said they don't use Tinder. And I was like, how do you guys meet each other to date? And she's like, oh, we walk up to each other and talk to each other. What? Oh, shit. How do you do that? She's like, oh, if you see someone standing at the corner and they look cute, you just go up to them and say, hey, my name is blah, blah, blah. What's your name? And I was like, wow.
But how do you keep in contact with them afterwards? Once you part ways.
Well, you say, let's meet again at this hot spot in an hour. I don't know.
I don't even know what I do. I've never been in such a drastic, situation where it's so void of technology. I mean, there's always some element of it.
But Ned, remember back in the day when we didn't have phones, if you made plans with your friend, you say, I'm meeting you at the playground at 8. Show up. And people show up.
The 19th century?
Well, when I was in elementary school, that's how I met up with my friends. We didn't...
but everybody has time in elementary school. You have nothing else to do. Meet up with your friends after the next class period.
You dial collect, and then you leave your quick message.
You dial collect. Yeah. Oh, no, you dial 411 and you do a prank call.
No, my best friend and I would dial and let it ring twice, and then hang up, and then be like, that's me, if you let it ring twice. But, I think there was more accountability back in the day because you didn't have a cell phone to say, I can't meet up, I'm flaking on you, whatever. Now it's like anybody can.
Well, you really touched into a key thing there. It's accountability. If you make a plan with someone, you have to mean it or else you're just going to stand them up. You can't just flake out on someone at the last second or a day before. And so I think there's more commitment in general because of the accountability, which is a positive thing for
By the way, is your friend Tindering right now? Are you Tindering?
Snapchatting.
Snapchatting. You're on every single tech platform right now.
Okay. While we're talking about technology. But, Ned, here's a treat for you.
Yeah.
We have some user feedback or listener feedback and questions for you. So we're going to ask you some of these questions. Let's bring it on.
Okay.
Did you get any bottles today, by the way?
No, it wasn't a good day. We weren't digging. We were just discussing future digs. We were kind of thinking, I'm giving her shit. I'm like, when are you going to take me to the 1850s hotel in the Gold Country, motherfucker?
You should ask what my dog dug up the last time we went out.
Your dog dug something up?
Yeah,
Where is your dog?
He is at home.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Are you hot? Are you like fucked up right now?
Yeah, she's always
That's
fucked
awesome. That's awesome.
It's so cool to dig when you're fucked up, by the way. But it also makes it really difficult. You're like, ooh.
I would be so paranoid.
Okay,
I'd be paranoid. I'd be digging up a dead body.
The last time I did that, I was actually on an 1860s hotel site in Menlo Park. I'm sneaking in. There's like security cameras. It's the middle of the night. I fucking smoked all this weed because my friend's cousin was in town and he had like the most chronic shit. I smoked hella weed and I was like hiding in the construction site in this ditch and everyone's like, come out and probe and dig, and I'm like, oh, and every time like someone drove by I thought they were looking at me. I'm sorry, I'm going off on a tangent.
Okay, let's go to question from Kevin.
Jamie's asking, who are you guys talking to? This is BottleNed. He's from our season premiere of season 5. The whole episode was about how to make dating in San Francisco better, and his solution was date outside of San Francisco. Okay, and he's also a bottle digger. So we were talking about his digging experience while hot.
Okay,
so we have some listener questions.
Let's go from Kevin. I'm also a local from the Bay Area. My biggest issue is that it feels like women aren't here for the long haul, and that's why they aren't committed to relationships.
Yes.
Can't speak. What do you think about this?
What the fuck? you just answered your own. There is no question there.
Well, that's what you think about it.
Reaffirming your statement. Yes, obviously. I mean, people in urban areas, women, men. I mean, it's not. I don't think it's gender specific, but you go here to make a career and work and have friends, and you're like, woo, social network, and oh, my fucking job, and blah, this, that. They don't have time for that shit. And then when the biological clock goes off, then it's like, oh no, I have to like settle down, and now I want to stay at home more, and I'm having this urge to like have a kid, and that eventually happens.
Does that mean that they leave San Francisco or whatever big city they're in?
I don't know what their freaking habits are, but you'd think in the general way was they eventually commit to finding one partner instead of dating. They would commit to like trying to find the dude, and then maybe they'll end up settling, and then whatever, they find a dude, and then they move to some suburban area and breed. Well,
I think this whole idea of not staying here for the long haul is an excuse, and it's also a way for people to protect themselves. Mm-hmm. I know a lot of people who say that, like, oh, San Francisco doesn't work out. If I don't find that special someone here, I'm going to move back to my hometown. I'm going to go to New York. I'm going to London. But it's everyone's like always constantly trying to protect their weaknesses, right? And I don't think it's true for everyone. I don't think it's true for all women or all men.
No, we're just generalizing, which is perfectly fine.
Wait, I do think this is a city that makes people feel like they need to say a statement like that, especially when they're dating. Like, oh, I'm not really here for the long haul. If this doesn't work out, I have other options.
Well, yeah, because cool people have options. And it's like we just can't help subliminally seeing people with a lot of options as really cool, because it's like, whoa, what are they going to do next? Maybe they're not going to be interested in me tomorrow.
They're adventurous.
Yeah, well, they're an enigma. They're like, whoa, I don't know what they're gonna. Maybe they're gonna flake out on me, and it makes you work harder for them. And you want, as a person, you want people to work harder for you. It's a game. It's all part of the game. But eventually, you get tired of playing it, and you just want to shoot fucking fish like easily, like bam, bam, like young country girls, bam. Oh, you have nothing to do. You're just sitting at your parents' house. I'll come take you out. Bam.
Okay, but
it's like so fucking easy.
Kevin's question though is like, if, like, he's saying, is that the reason why people aren't committing? But what you said earlier is, like, if someone meets someone, they're going to settle down and, like, have kids and whatnot.
But they just have to be in the time period of their life when they're ready. And in a big city, the chances are a freaking young girl, when I say young, an early 20s girl is going to be upwardly, I don't know, I'm using a cliche. They're going to be just all over the place, basically. They're going to be jumping around from this to that, from dude to party to friend.
It's life stage. It's a life stage thing. Maybe it's not age, but it's a life stage thing. I think these big cities do attract people who are in like this life stage of being adventurous and trying different things, and and maybe not settling down right away. But I would say to Kevin, you're just not meeting the right women.
And also, that's why I employ my, if you really want to meet someone now, if you go to small towns, everyone in a small town is like doing those life stages at an earlier stage in their lives. So say just hypothetically speaking, you were looking for a hot young 23-year-old girl and you want to get married to her. And you're like, okay, well, I'm probably not going to do that in San Francisco unless I find an outlier, because the hot young 23-year-old girl in San Francisco is going to be like, woo, parties, oh, my friends, oh, guys. You know.
Okay, but here's the thing, right?
But so if you go to a small country town, a hot young 23-year-old girl is just going to be, have less options. They're going to be sitting at home. They're going to be living at their parents' house. All their friends are married with kids already. And you can just be like, "Hooah! There you go. There you go."
That's the thing, though. A lot of what happens, yes, you're right. They go through that life stage earlier, right? But then they're married for like 20 some years. And then they go, this is boring. I want to explore my other options. I see the opposite with my high school friends. I grew up in Fort Collins, Colorado. It's a small town in Colorado. A lot of people marry their high school sweethearts or college sweethearts. And now they're at a second phase.
They have a freak out. They have like a midlife crisis, but
like,
earlier.
Oh my God, I'm in my mid-30s. I have like 6 kids. What am I doing?
But that's cool. You've already had kids with them. Then you can just get a divorce and already say that you've been there, done that, and then you're all good.
Well, it's a give and take, right? It's a give and take.
What's better than being a 50-year-old single dude in San Francisco still looking for a fucking girl that wants to commit, right?
I don't know. I feel like single 50-year-old dudes in San Francisco do very well.
Okay, can I just play
devil's advocate? If they want to just fuck a bunch of chicks, they do.
My opinion on this is that people go through different life stages, like we've talked about. We've heard people on our podcast that, yes, in their 20s. Like, I'll use myself as an example. In my 20s, I agree with everything you said. I was running around sorority girl time.
Yeah, you were. I saw you, man.
I probably was.
Ned knew Julie back in the day.
But at the same time, that's not who I am now. And like,
exactly.
But I'm saying, like, people once they...
Zach.
Oh, man. Zach, he's like, hey, you want to go to a party? I'm like, dude, you're fucking 36.
Zach said, damn, Ned, you really dressed up for this podcast. How could any girls ever flake out on you?
Yeah, well, the girls that he would date would, but that's why I don't date the girls that he would date.
I'm going back here. But, like, my point being is that once people get to a different stage, they're looking for different things. And I think for me, like, when I first moved here, it was for a job. But now I've been here for, like, 10 years, so I don't think it's, like, a transplant situation to answer this question. I don't know if it's necessarily a black and white answer of this is what
there is no question. He's just making a statement and asking if it's if we think it's true, and we definitely think it's true.
Well, I think sometimes we just don't want to feel
because it's age dependent, stage of life dependent.
Exactly.
Look for an older chick, Kevin.
That's exactly.
Or just look for someone who's in a different stage in life. You got to filter better.
Stage in life.
But Kevin, what I feel from Kevin is that you don't want to feel like you're alone in this, and I think you're looking for camaraderie from BottleNed here. Like, I'm in the same boat.
BottleNed understands.
Well, a lot of guys said on your episode, they were like, I totally feel it. Like, so many feedback
because it's just the way it is around here. Yeah, for sure.
But women feel it too, honey. It's not
I know. That's the bizarre thing.
Let's go to the second question.
The next question, this is actually directed to the two of us.
Okay.
So this is for Yue and Julie. I found a lot of this episode offensive and made it seem like women were the problem. Why didn't you guys push back more? Thoughts and opinions on this. Cool, do you guys feel the same way?
Okay, so you obviously know that now it's been revealed. A lot of people were offended by the episode, but I would also say a lot of people who wrote in who were offended by the episode, I don't think you made it through the entire episode. And that's why, again, in the beginning I said, listen to the entire thing, because the learnings and the insights are what's really impactful for me. So I think in the beginning I had this urge to stop Ned and say
the caveat is I am a guy with a perspective of male to female interaction, so I can't give a female to male interaction. So that was if it seemed gender bias, it's only because I'm a guy going for females.
Totally.
Yeah, and I can see how it's offensive, because I was offended in the very beginning when Ned was talking, but then when we started talking about like why these things were happening and why he felt this way, I felt more empathy for him, and I felt like I was sort of in the same boat, just from the flip side.
Yep.
And what we really came to, it wasn't about the gender differences, or it wasn't about like the sucky women you were dating. It's about how we're dating. All of us, men and women, no matter what age you are, no matter what stage in life you are, a lot of us are just really sucky at dating. We're just, we're losing accountability for each other, and we all take responsibility for it. I'm first to admit, I've done some of those crappy things.
I have too.
Thank you.
I'm a piece of shit. It's partially because of my upbringing, and maybe because I don't know what else, but too many bottles.
I mean, I think personally, everyone has a right to their opinion, and that's what we do on the show. It's not like, I mean, everyone has a voice. That's the whole point of it, is to hear different perspectives. I think for yours, like, actually honestly made me think about myself. Like I just mentioned, I was like, at one point in my life, I was that 20-year-old girl. We're all humans, man.
So, like, how can we resist the next possible awesome thing that's only a right swipe away? You know, we're programmed that way to keep searching. And when that's the problem with technology, when so many things are presented to us, our primitive, like, lizard brains are just overwhelmed. We can't handle it.
But I think for me, I was like, okay, in my 20s when I was like this, I don't feel like I'm like this anymore, but I was like, oh, I'm ready for a relationship, etc. But I probably wasn't. Like, I was running around town and whatnot, all the stuff, and I wasn't. So it was like a good reflection of like how sometimes you see things versus how others are seeing things. And then I think also like you also were open to a lot of the ideas that you put together.
Which I really appreciated. Ned was so open and so self-aware. Like, you were like, okay, I've done the same things. So it wasn't just a one-sided, I blame you, you suck at this. It's like, he took blame for a lot of it, too.
Yeah, I thought you were really humble on it. So I think there's like...
Oh, good. I didn't feel like I was being humble.
That's how I
came across that way,
I think by the end, if you get it to the end, like, you will hear, like, different perspectives.
Yeah, so for anyone who was offended, I totally understand where you're coming from. But listen to the entire episode and then let us know what you think, even if you're still offended. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, and I think hearing different opinions that aren't yours is not a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing at all. And I want to talk about this idea of like being a maximalist, because Julie sent me this article talking about like Silicon Valley is all about being maximalist. We want to maximize everything in life, not just dating, but everything else. And I felt myself doing this as a freelancer. You know, I have these like ideal projects I want to do. And once I get them, before I even do them, once I get them, I'm constantly like antsy about, okay, let's look for the next good thing. Like, let's try to find another project equally as good.
Oh, you mean like overlapping things that are giving you return on your investment and giving you things that are...
Or just once you get like what you think you want, for some reason I get anxious about
need to
keep going, to find something better, to try to like do the same.
Like if you're not making money, you're spending money type of thing. You just want to feel like you're always making.
I always feel like I'm looking for a better opportunity, and that's just in my professional life. But I think it goes into the dating thing too, is I finally had this idea of, you know, like I sat down and thought professionally, what if I, you know, get this one project I really want to do, it's ideal, and I focus on building this project versus trying to go from this project to the next project. And I think it applies to dating. What happens is you meet someone great, they tend to, like, there's someone you really want to hang out with, but then what we're doing in this society is we're maximalists, where we think about, oh, could I meet someone even better than this person? And where am I going to find this person? Instead of focusing more and spending more time on this person that already meets all of your needs or most of your needs. So I think what you were getting at in your episode too was a lot of times we are not present, we're not focused on the person we're dating.
We're programmed by our careers and our daily existence in like a high competition, high cost of living area such as this area to continually maximize everything we do and continue to look for better opportunities, doors that open, jobs, money, friends that can help us, things this. So we become almost robotic. We get into this mode. It was just I totally agree. You get into this mode and then it encapsulates everything that you're doing in your life.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so refreshing. One of the things that I was doing when I was going to these small towns and interacting with these smaller town people is like you just get out of that mode because you're not surrounded by it. The people are just in a different state of consciousness, and that influence when you are around people in those states of consciousness that are different, it will profoundly affect your being, you know, your state of being. And so that helped a lot too, is to expose myself to other people that were more minimalist and less like just running around and fickle and trying to constantly look for the next thing, and that it's a natural byproduct of being in a smaller town with less of a high cost of living and a slower pace, as people are psychologically different.
Yeah,
but there definitely are people here that have been with people for many years or in the same job for many years, so maybe it's looking to people that are local too that you admire.
And then you just translate that to people, you know, you're like, okay, now I know the attributes, the psychological attributes of someone to look for.
Exactly.
Then you just translate that to, you know, oh, how can I recognize this in people? And there's probably some people around me, because everywhere, wherever you are, there's outliers.
Yeah.
And it's not the norm, obviously, but you're going to find those people.
But like we've talked about on your episode and now, is that everyone complains about this.
Everyone.
It's not just you complaining
about it. And it's all the same complaints from men and women, all ages.
Clearly people are feeling the same thing. So.
Yes, definitely.
But if we start approaching, like what you're saying, if we start approaching it in a way of like, building it and completing one project at a time instead of constantly thinking to the future, which is a good way to live anyway. It's better to live in the moment than constantly stress about the future or dwell in the past. That's like a freaking basic concept that everyone should adhere to. But if you just apply that to your relationships as well, and consciously apply it.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
I'm going to see this whole thing through.
Does that apply to your bottle digging at all? When you like dig and you find a bottle, and are you like, oh, I found this coveted bottle, or are you like, I need to find another bottle?
Dig a hole halfway down and just think about the next hole, and I do that actually. I'm like, shit, I just want to. Oh, there's another hole over there. There has to be another one for that place. But I'm digging this hole, and I have to be enjoying this hole, but I'm not, because I'm thinking about that hole.
That has so many other meanings.
You guys, you heard it here. The key takeaway is
drives you crazy.
Just concentrate on the hole you already have.
Just think about one hole at a time.
There are always going to be other holes.
Penetrate that hole with your probe shaft gently, smoothly.
And you don't know
going downward.
how deep those
Pull
holes
your probe
are,
out,
how dirty
the
those
hole,
holes are.
Go down into the hole.
Just focus
Embrace
on the hole that you already have.
The whole
Okay, I think this is a good segue to our next
question. Last question for Ned.
Hi, I'm Rochelle, and I'm from Sebastopol.
Ooh.
I think you may have dated my 18-year-old sister Marie. Does that ring a bell? We're just fucking
God
with you.
Damn. I was like,
That actually did not come
unless
in.
I sleptwalked. I wish I could claim that I did. If she was from another town besides Sebastopol, maybe it was true.
Oh, I wish that.
God damn, that sounds so hot. I just got, oh my God,
so
I just got
hot.
turned on by that.
This made-up girl sounds so
I'm
hot.
my younger sister. I'm 18 and I live in Sebastopol, and I go skinny dipping in the Russian River naked, and I'm 18.
And she's a bottle digger.
Fuck.
And she's a bottle digger.
Fuck.
She loves holes.
Bullshit.
Loves
Do we have time for one more quick one?
I don't think we do. It's 6:34.
No,
so
what?
We're done.
I'm not
Sorry,
done.
Ned. We're done.
I'm not done.
We're done.
But I haven't even started offending people yet.
Does anybody want to be offended by Ned?
Have we taken a user question? Does anyone have a question
Holy
in
shit,
the
I look
audience?
like shit. That screen is bigger. Fuck, dude. Jew hair with stupid nerd glasses. And my dad's shirt. That's actually the coolest part. These are kayaks.
Nobody has a question for. Sorry, Ned.
Sorry,
your
what?
time is done. No questions. Nobody
we
wants.
We had a question from Zach.
Fuck y'all.
How did ever girls?
Wait, another question from Zach.
No, it's the same question. How could any girls ever flake out on you dressed like that? Well, Ned, thank you so much for coming and stopping by and being our special surprise guest. I think
Triple high five. No, it's fine. I just washed my hands in a sewer. No. There you go. There you go. There you go. That's what I do when I go to bars. I'm just like, there you go.
Maybe that's the problem. Wait.
Maybe Zach does that too.
Maybe that's the problem.
Last question. Are you single?
Oh, do we get this?
That's a very nebulous question in this area. I don't even
know.
fucking
My question.
Oh,
you don't know?
Essentially,
so you're
I'm not
available
married.
if anybody wants to meet up with you and
if anyone wants me to knock them up or their younger sister, I'm down.
Okay. If anybody wants Ned to explore your hole, just
I'm trying to breed
let
this
us
curly
know.
hair out. I have a couple of prospects right now, but I'm trying to breed it out. I want like this beautiful child with straight hair, and blonde hair. I'm sorry, I'm becoming like
Ned, we're losing viewers.
Oh no!
I can't afford this anymore.
Maybe I should go to the Trump rally that I was already about to go to. Okay, all right,
nice.
there.
Thanks for coming. We'll let you know if anybody wants their holes dug.
Thank you. Or pro.
No, but seriously, if they have like an 1870s house.
Okay.
Also if anybody has an 1800s house, a 19th century house, and you want BottleNed to come do some investigative work behind it with Bottle Amanda, the detectorist, a metal detectorist.
Ooh, hey.
We can come probe your yard even, just your yard.
They'll probe anything. Just let them know.
Let me know about that. That'd be cool.
All
right.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you. Always a pleasure.
Crossing Ned off the list of our schedule.
Good riddance.
Good riddance.
Can I use your bathroom?
Yeah,
Inappropriate noises from behind the door.
Oh my gosh. Are you going to take a dump? Maybe you do. There's a Starbucks down the street.
What? Are you kidding me? You're one of those people that doesn't want someone to like use their bathroom?
No, we don't care, but our viewers.
The viewers.
Think
about the viewers.
Are you really about to take a dump right now?
When I got food poisoning and passed out on in my bathroom in college, my roommate said he knew something was wrong because I wasn't making noises. So, yeah.
He's like, on second thought, I will use that Starbucks.
Yeah, on second thought.
Okay.
Okay, let's go on to our next order of business. Should we go over, before we talk about a lot of you asked, how did you guys start the Dateable podcast?
That's a good question.
What was the inspiration for starting it? So I guess we can talk about that story.
Sure.
Go for it.
Yeah, I mean, I have lived at SF. I'm coming up on almost a decade, which is crazy because I thought I'd live here for 1 year. So, there you go. But anyways, I feel like I've had pretty much the gamut of dating experiences, done the serial dating thing with the apps, had a terrible on-again, off-again friend with benefit relationship, that obviously had a really significant relationship that ultimately was amazing but didn't work out, so kind of dealt with heartbreak too, and then now have been back in the dating scene. So I feel like I've kind of seen a lot of it, but I think one of the things that struck me the most is I thought a lot of my experiences were unique, and they really weren't. And I think that's like what's been really great about this podcast is like really putting it out there and like seeing what it was. I remember like wanting to write a dating book of stories because I thought I had just so many funny stories and all this outrageous stuff. And then obviously from doing this podcast, definitely have not seen the gamut of things, but
it could be, it could always be worse.
Yeah.
Wow, your toilet's really dirty. Well, it is now, anyway. I'm sorry.
We didn't hear you, but now we got it back. Well, thanks for that gift.
Thanks for that deposit.
Happy Hanukkah.
Thanks for that deposit we don't want.
If I take a shit, is it actually leaving something for you, or is it actually
is it
giving or taking? If I take
I think it's taking.
And I leave it here, would I technically be taking something or leaving something?
Well, you took 3 minutes of my life that I want back.
I have like a chain somewhere.
I'm kind of
for.
Thank you guys.
Happy digging.
Thanks
for stopping by.
Holiday gift. Appreciate it.
Yeah, we'll continue to appreciate it. For at least 15 minutes.
Okay, bye guys.
See ya. Bye.
Yeah.
Anyways, back to why we started this podcast. So we could hear stories like this. But Yue and I met through 500 Brunches, actually. And we talked, and I'll let you tell your story, but you were like, I've never seen dating like this. And I was like, obviously, I've spent pretty much all my adult dating life in SF. So I moved here when I was 25. So this, like, I feel like we were both coming from very different backgrounds.
Yeah.
And I talked to you about, like, the idea of the book, and then we were like, what about a podcast? Like, I feel like something on audio would be much better. And that's kind of where we got this idea. And, like we mentioned earlier, we literally just started with, like, friends, and we're like, let's just fuck around and see if anyone even listens to this thing.
Yeah.
And then got picked up by Huffington Post and, like, Up Out, and it just started to, like, spiral. So for all that, thank you guys. We really appreciate
thank you for supporting us. I think for me is I had spent most of my adult dating life in New York, which is a totally different dating scene than San Francisco. Then I moved to Beijing and had an even, much different dating experience there. But when I moved to San Francisco, I remember my very first date, I just moved to San Francisco, like that very day. I went on a coffee meets bagel date with this guy who ended up showing me his folder of his YouTube channel strategy, and he wanted my opinions on it. And I had never seen anything like that. So when I met Julie at 500 Brunches, I remember just saying to her, like, I've never been in a city where people date, but then they also are networking. I've never seen anything like it. And so she, obviously Julie had this idea of a book, and I was like, oh, let's just do something like where we can just get it out there. We wanted to get content out there fast, but we also wanted the content to be intimate. And that's why we thought podcast would be the best platform, because we're like in your ears and people can tell you the stories. Yeah. So it's always like you have a few friends around telling you their dating stories from, the last weekend. So that's basically how we started Dateable. We had no idea how to do a podcast. I have equipment just from my production company, but we had no idea where to even start. But the great thing is we have very complementary skills. So Julie's an amazing designer. So if you look at our website, dateablepodcast.com, our like little cartoon graphics, our logo, our colors, that's all Julie's doing. She's just like, it just made so much sense that we would be in this together. And I was always in this business of creating content, and this was another format that I really wanted to try. So we're so happy that we did this, and we can't wait to just keep going with it and see where it goes.
Yeah, and I think just like one other thing to add, like I feel like I kind of said this, that we're all like, no one's really unique and we're all going through it. And I think what this podcast too has shown me is that no one has it really figured out.
No.
There isn't like a rule and like subsets. And I admit that I've read some really shitty dating books before, and I think there's definitely a place for just open conversation.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, what also drove this. And I mean, personally for me too, like when I was going through that stage of serial dating, like it was very me-centric. Like, what am I doing wrong? Why don't people return why are people flaking on me? Why are do they not want to go on another date with me?
Why do they like me? And
Exactly. And then I think after when we started Dateable, I was in a relationship, and then that obviously ended throughout Dateable. But during that relationship was really a big time that I learned a ton from that. But the biggest thing was it's not all about me. Obviously in a relationship, it's not, because that's
not.
No, it's a partnership. There's two people with two needs and their own shit going on, things in their life. It's not always about you. And I think a lot of stuff I took personally in my dating life earlier, I realized may or may not have had anything to do with me. And I think just the more we hear these stories and people hear different perspectives, that just lets people know that they're not alone and they're not in it by themselves.
And if you think that something happened to you and it's unique, it probably has happened to someone else.
Totally.
We're not alone in this. These patterns keep repeating, and that's one of the great things about doing this podcast, is that we get a bigger picture about what's going on in modern dating, and we start seeing these patterns, these behaviors that people are doing, and how to what we can do to really avoid these situations. So that's how we start. That's our background. I like to talk about some of our top most listened to episodes in the last 5 seasons, because I think it really shows what are some of the themes that really resonate with people. So let's go with the top 5.
Sure.
Most listened to.
The most listened to ever episodes. And the first one is She Loves Me, She Loves Me Not with Kurt from season 1. The second, I don't know if we want to give a quick synopsis of it, or
I really love this episode because it was our very first episode for Dateable, and Kurt's story was about him being strung along by a girl. And a lot of times, and we always hear the other side, the guy string the girl along, but he was in a relationship with this girl where one day she's like, we're in a relationship, and the next day they weren't exclusive, or they weren't. Right. And so he was kind of like in limbo with this girl, and he didn't know what to do about it.
But what I really loved about that is he started to reflect himself, though. Like, that's how he started the story, and then it was like, wait, was I as good a boyfriend as I could have been?
Yes.
All this stuff. So I think it was like a really good, like, I mean, that was obviously our first one we ever did, so we didn't know really what we were doing, but it was like good just to have it was really candid. It was like friends talking,
Very
and
candid.
I think that was a good start.
Episode 2.
Okay, the next one was You're Someone I Have to Meet with Carolyn and Spencer from season 3. This was a good one.
Carolyn Spencer gave us, people love these like couple stories of how people meet. And Carolyn Spencer met at a bar in Berkeley, and he went up to her and said, "You're just someone I had to meet." And that's how they started talking, and they've been together ever since. This has probably like been 2 years. Almost 2 years, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a while. I mean, it's season 3, so it's at least a year.
At least a year.
But I think, like, the biggest thing for that was just, like, I mean, I loved, like, the he said, she said, hearing different perspectives and all of that. But I think just, like, no games. When it works, and, like, there's just none of the bullshit. Like, I remember her texting him and, like, late at night by accident. And then she's like, what? Like, he didn't care. Like, it wasn't, like, any of the shit that you spend so much time, like, overanalyzing and dating books tell you not to do.
And I remember Carolyn saying that she was really taken aback by Spencer's actions because she had never experienced that before. He didn't wait, 3 days to text her or to ask her out. He basically said, "I want to see you again tomorrow." And she, at the time, she's like, "Really? Like, this is how he's really doing this?" But then it really worked. So, yeah.
And he was bold. He wasn't
Very
like,
bold.
"Oh, I'm going to see you on Tinder and hit you up later." Like,
Yeah,
I saw you and I came
shit.
in there, yeah. Okay, the next one is The Blind Date with Yue and Matt from season 2. This is a crowd favorite for sure.
Again, you guys really like the he said, she said things, and I like it too, because how many times have you gone home from a date and said, "I wonder what he or she is thinking"? And this episode was basically the answer to those questions. I go on a blind date with this guy named Matt. I didn't know anything about him, including his name. So I didn't know anything about him till the day of. And we go on this really fun scoot date around the city. And then he came back into the studio a few days later to give his story about how he thinks things went down. But it was super fascinating because when we gave our individual stories about what happened during the date, he felt like I wasn't giving him any signals that I was interested. And I kept thinking, like, this guy's not interested because he's been talking about other girls. And he was interested, and I was also interested. So at the end of that episode, a lot of miscommunication. And at the end of that episode, something happens. So I'm not going to give it away in case you haven't listened to that episode yet. It's from season 2, and it's called The Blind Date.
Yeah, a lot of people always comment on that one because I think it was so unique because you never get feedback on a date.
Never.
Okay, our next one was the $600 dinner with Sasha from season 1.
And this was just a simple episode, just a really fun one where Sasha gets flaked on by some guy that she had met online, and he asked her to go to dinner, and she picked the.
I know. I think she was like, "You are not going to flake on me," and like was like, "We're going to dinner," and like basically like stood up for herself and was like, "It's not okay that I just took the bus for 40 minutes to meet you and you weren't there."
Yeah,
because like I think she'd gone like way out of her way. It wasn't like they had flaked 3 days before. It was like 10 minutes before or something, and like. I think the whole part of that was just standing up for yourself and getting what you deserve.
And she got a $600 dinner out of it, so that's the ultimate ending to that.
So you might not get that, but it's good to just know you spoke your piece, right? And then the last one we have is Hey Heartbreak with Ellen from season 2, who is the founder of Mend, which is an app to help you get over a heartbreak. And I was actually on this too.
Yes, you were.
But it was still more focused on Ellen. But it was really, we were just talking about actually like my recent breakup and just how she views breakups in general and like how you can get over them and how they can actually really help you in the long term.
Yeah, she's just fantastic. You guys should, her voice alone
it's so
just
soothing.
mends, you know. But definitely a great episode to think about the end of relationships and what you can do in terms of TLC and self-care, but also self-reflection.
Yeah,
you know?
and I think we a lot of times think of like, oh, the success of a relationship is when people get married or when they have kids, and it's like, it could just be a successful relationship when the timing wasn't right or things just didn't fall into place for whatever reason.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, in the interest of time, let's just go over the top 3 most talked about episodes of 2017. Top 3, here we go.
Okay, our first one was Making Moves in Real Life with Taylor from season 4.
People love that episode because here she is, this very bold, petite girl who goes up to guys and makes it easy for men to hit on her in public settings. And when this episode aired, we had so many women reach out and said, I want to hang out with Taylor. I want her to be one of my friends. I want to go out with her. I want her to show me how she does this. And at that point, when we met Taylor, she had never been online dating, ever.
She was definitely our first female guest that got hit up by other females.
By other females, yes.
We have a thing that females always reach out to meet male guests. We've never had a male reach out to meet a female guest. I don't know if it's like they think sexual harassment or creepiness. I don't know. Or need a visual. I don't know. But like this was the first time we've actually had women hitting up her to hang out. I think she actually did hang out with some of them, which is awesome.
She did, yes. And I think it's good to talk about some of the behind-the-scenes happenings. After episodes air, we more than likely will receive emails from people wanting to meet the guest. And it's always, like Julie said, a lot of times it's women wanting to meet the male. That was the male guest. So Josh from season 3, I think.
He probably got the most of it.
He got the most. So he talked about dating as a startup founder. And his whole episode, I still find this so interesting. His whole episode was him saying he doesn't have time to date. He's married to his work. He, like his employees are his babies. And he got the most amount of emails and reach outs from women who wanted to meet him and try to change his mind. How fucked up is that? Anyway.
We always want what we can't have, which is not what we talk about on Dateable, but
no, that was a tangent. Sorry.
Yeah.
So number 3, or number 2 most talked about episode of 2017.
We have 5, so this is tough, but I guess I'll just pick and then I'll tell like the quick runner-ups after. The next one was Why You Cannot Find the One with Heidi from season 4.
Yeah, Heidi is a very gifted writer, and she wrote this incredible article about why you cannot find the one. And the main takeaway I took from that was we put so much pressure on the people we meet when they're just strangers. So we go on a first date and we're constantly sizing them up for this person that we think we want them to be. And her take is, why not just meet people like they're just people? They're humans and they're just new friends. And why do we put so much pressure on the future potential of someone when you should just really be present with the person you're with?
And I think also we talked a lot about what qualities matter and which ones don't. Like she even herself admitted there was a period of time where she was fixated on someone that was well-traveled or that skis a lot. And it's like, yeah, those are nice to have, but that's ultimately not who is going to be a good partner for you. So I think what she was really stressing, and this came from her own personal, was like, how do I take a step back and really focus on the deal breakers, and then everything else is a added bonus? Because if you have a laundry list, like, it's going to be really hard to find that person, near impossible. So yeah, I thought that was a great one. I think what was awesome about that episode, just a little tangent, was UA had found that article like months and months before we even knew Heidi. And I remember you like posting it on Facebook and you were like obsessed with it. Because there was like this amazing line of just like how someone can't be everything to you.
Yeah.
And then I remember we realized that, I think I was like, let's see if she can come on. I realized she was friends with our friend Kevin, who does Higher Club podcast or Facebook Lives for anyone that is probably tuned in there. So he actually introed us, and then we got her on the show. So it was kind of amazing how that happened.
It was like meeting a celebrity. I really enjoyed meeting her.
Okay, and then our last one is Three's Company, which actually just aired last week, and we've already got so many people talking about it, so we're super excited. I personally just love this episode too, but it was with Jupiter, Sean, and Dylan from season 5, and it was basically about them as a triad couple, like the three of them in a relationship together.
And how does that work? You have to listen to the episode, but it's 2 men and a woman, and the 3 of them dated and had a relationship and went to a wedding together as a plus two.
The men were not sexual together.
The men were not in a sexual relationship together, but they definitely had a deep friendship together. It's fascinating. The episode, on one hand, if you're not familiar with like non-traditional relationships like I am, it was like shocking to hear that this could happen. But on the other hand, what made it relatable was how much love they had for each other. So their relationship didn't become like, what am I getting out of these two people? It was more like, how can I give to these two people that I really sincerely, deeply love? And I enjoyed hearing their story because, again, Julie talked about how what we realize with dating is a lot of times is me, 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 me. Why can't this person please me? Why can't this person like me? But in their relationship, they really turned it around and said, what's the best I can do to please my partners? And because I respect them and I love them. And that made their relationship even stronger. Although it was not a long-term relationship, it was, I would call a successful relationship because they really respected each other and loved each other and fulfilled each other's needs, both emotionally and sexually, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. And I think just they had a really good mix of being informative and then just being like very open and just really like friends hanging out and talking. So I really enjoyed that one.
Definitely.
And then our just two quick runner-ups. We won't go into what they were, but we had these on the list. The bathroom bail with Melissa when she gets ditched on the date. And then we had dating inexperience with Ben that talks about just really not having much relationship history at all and how that's impacted him.
I really love that episode. I don't want to go into it too much. We don't have time, but it's about this city really attracts a lot of people who put their career first. And now all of a sudden a relationship is something on their mind and it's hard to just jump into a relationship. What does that really mean? So I think that's a one to look at. Definitely. It's worthwhile. And it goes into our episode that's about to come out tomorrow. I'm really excited for this one. It's such a good one.
Yeah.
We shouldn't give anything away, but it's when you say you're ready for a relationship, are you really ready for a relationship? Are you really ready for everything that a relationship entails? And I think this episode is really going to open your eyes to what could really happen in a relationship, and if you're not prepared for it, what that could mean. So definitely stay tuned for that one.
Yeah, I mean, I think just like overall what I've loved about kind of where things have gone, like what we mentioned at the season 1 was amazing because it was like our friends chatting and having fun, but I will say like our topics were definitely not as deep as some of the ones we've gone to, and I think it's good to have a mix of those two because it's just like everyone likes hearing like the bathroom bail one I mentioned, like everyone likes hearing that horror date story, but like I think when we first started we thought this would be a lot more like superficial than it's gone. And I mean, I think the thing that's fascinating to me, it's like just opened my eyes of like changing gender roles, non-traditional relationships, like we talked about body image, like all the stuff that's like really just like sociological effects of modern dating. That's fascinating.
And it's great to hear I can't wait either, Rochelle. It's such a good episode. We actually only have 2 more episodes left in this season, and so that one's tomorrow. But our season finale, you guys, it's such a simple episode again, but it's a very profound episode, and I can't wait to release that one next week because it's perfect for the holidays. Perfect time to try out what our guests suggest doing. So let's go to just a top learning because we only have 1 more minute left. 1 learning per person.
And we got to do the raffle.
And then we got to do the raffle. I know that's what you guys are here for. So my biggest learning from doing this podcast is that, you know, sometimes we talk a lot about like, why is this happening to me? Why do I get ghosted on? Why do I get breadcrumbed? And if you find yourself in a situation where you're attracting the same sort of challenges and conundrums, then you should really look to yourself. What is it that you're doing that's attracting this sort of behavior? And I've seen it in myself when I was dating that whatever I'm putting out there, I'm getting back to. So if I feel like I'm not respecting other people's time, well, guess what? Karma's a bitch, and I have that same reciprocal situation happen to me. So if you are complaining, if you are unhappy in your dating life because the same things keep happening to you, look to yourself first.
Yeah. That's a huge one.
Huge one for me.
I think for me, like, and we've really played this up recently in some of the episodes, like, everyone is on their own journey. And, like, I think sometimes, like, especially if you've been single for a while, sometimes you're like, oh my God, why did they just have it so easy?
Yes.
They met someone and everything's so easy for them. And that's not really the case. Like, if you actually dive in, like, we had Dave, which was the season 4 finale, which I think was definitely one of my favorite episodes, but it really went through, like, just the whole process that he went through, like, with therapy and really understanding himself. And it wasn't just, like, as cut and dry as, like, oh, poof, that person appeared. Like, a lot of our guests, and not just him, have really kind of pointed to the work they've done on themselves. Definitely. And, yeah, I think you just, and it's kind of back to that, like, me mentality. It's like, you forget that other people are in this too.
Yeah.
And it's like, just, I think, being more aware of, like, what people's wants are, and they might not be the same as you, and their journeys aren't necessarily the same as yours. Like, all of that, I think, has been really, really helpful, at least for me to hear.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. Okay. I can't believe this hour went by so fast.
You weren't kidding. You weren't kidding that Facebook Live.
Damn, Ned. Ned took up most of the time. No, just kidding. He was great. Okay, we're going to announce...
I still love that he didn't realize it was a video.
He had no idea. That's why he came dressed like that. It's okay. I'm not judging.
It's okay. You got to see people in their authentic self.
You have to.
It can only go up from there, right?
Before we announce the winner, I want to talk about some of the some things you guys should pay attention to. One is we do have merchandise available for sale. You just have to check it out on our website. Julie's been really hard at work rebuilding the website, creating content for you guys that you can always come back to. So we want to create more of a destination for you all where we share some of the writings from our past guests, which have been fabulous.
We had a really great article from Eric Newton that was actually not last week, but the one before, 1,000 Divorces, the former divorce lawyer. And he has Together Guide, which is a podcast and magazine.
Yeah.
And we put up an article that I think I heard him read on his podcast. It was called Dear Single Person.
Yeah.
And it's basically just like, I don't know, it's really like an inspiring, like very simple thing that's just like, you're not doing anything wrong. It's just the timing hasn't happened. Like,
yeah.
But I thought it's really elegantly written, so I definitely recommend checking that out.
Yeah, definitely check out the articles we have on there. But look at our merchandise. We have some pretty cool swag.
Don't you want a dateable shirt for Christmas and Hanukkah?
Don't you, damn it. It's a really nice purple that complements every skin tone. We also,
you can wear it to your next date.
There you go. There you go. It'd be like a good conversation starter. We also have the Why series, in case you didn't know about that, where we answer some of your most common conundrums, like why do I keep getting flaked on, or I keep getting ghosted on? So that's also available
videos.
on the website.
We got some videos.
Oh, we got some videos.
We have UA's interview with David Cruz from Millionaire Matchmaker that has Finding Cupid Radio.
Yes.
So we put that up, and then we also have the GA panel that we did recently with General Assembly. We did with Coffee Meets Bagel, The League, Lavidia, and 3 Day Rule. So that's all up on the site, so if you missed it, check it out and enjoy. We got to give Nick a shout out.
Oh, Nick, our favorites.
So we want to also thank Nick, who has come to us. He came as a devoted fan, and he actually, like, you and I tried to pay, and he would not let us. He took us out to lunch.
Yeah, he paid for us.
Thing. He's such a sweetheart, but he basically has been helping us with sound, and he has been amazing. So if you guys notice, I've had some friends tell me that I don't sound like I'm in the corner anymore, which
nobody puts Julie in the corner,
which made Nick really happy that we now have a new mic and where all the sound is level, and he's done just a fantastic job. So thank you, Nick. We will obviously tell you that in person, but got to do it on a Facebook Live.
Yes. Okay, let's announce a winner. I think we're ready for the winner.
Thank you all for entering our Instagram contest. We got a lot of people tagging. And if you were a friend that was tagged, like us, so you keep updated with our other stuff.
So here's details on our 10% battery remaining. We got to get
really
this through.
time to end.
It's really time to end this. Our Instagram contest was tag a friend in our Instagram post. That counts as an entry. Every time you tag a friend, it's a different entry. And the winner and a friend that they choose, so it could be the person you tagged, will get to have brunch with me and Julie. I shouldn't say get to, but it's not like...
Well, you can ask us anything you want.
But like, we are going to take you and your friend to brunch where you can ask us anything you want. And you can ask us anything you want, and we'll treat you to brunch, and it'll just be a time to just shoot the shit, okay? So... I'm really excited for the winner.
Okay.
Let's do this.
You got to pick it.
I get to pick it? Okay. And the winner is...
So much anticipation.
I can't look.
It was... Okay, so we only have your Instagram handle.
Yeah, so we don't know who you are.
Just going to put that out there. And we will message you on Instagram, too, in case you're not on this, but hopefully you are. It's... We are playing with our food. That is the handle.
We are playing with our food. Who are you?
You clearly like brunch. We get it.
Yes. Show us your face because we're going to get to meet you. And remember, you get to pick a friend to come to brunch with us. And we're going to have a lot of fun. And there may be mimosas involved.
Okay. We are playing with your food. And we will have more contests like this or opportunities. So... We'd love to meet you guys. We're thinking of doing some like happy hours and more listener centric. So if you are a super listener, sometimes it's hard for us to know who it is. Yes. So I think one of the best things about this is like some of the people that we have no idea who's listening came out of the woodwork and is like, I love this podcast. Yes. I listen. So if you guys shoot us those types of messages or email us, we'll make sure that you're on lists for these like smaller events that we do.
We want to meet you. We want to meet you so bad. Let's be friends with benefits. Yes? Yes, let's do it. Okay, well, that wraps it up for us. We're 7 minutes over. That's okay. That's actually not that bad. Okay, you can find us, Dateable Podcast, dateablepodcast.com, or at Dateable Podcast on Twitter or Instagram or on Facebook.
And then obviously on every single podcast player. So.
Yes. Thank you guys again for all of your support. Happy holidays. Happy New Year. We can't wait to see you guys in the new year. It's going to be a fabulous 2018. We already know that. Okay, last but not least, on the count of 3, we're going to say stay dateable. 1, 2, 3, stay dateable.
We probably didn't have to cut down to 3.